Presentation skills are one of the best ways that you can establish yourself as a leader in professional settings. Let's take a look at the 4 top ways that you can improve these skills right away. My name is Alex Lyon, and I'm here to provide professional development tips that you can use at your very next meeting. So presentation skills are they look at you present and they say, hey, that's a leader. And not everybody has these skills because sometimes you get into professional settings like me and you're not quite ready. You're going to have tons of opportunity to present, especially once people know that you know how. So let's look at 4 ways that you can improve right away. The first is to have one central idea. This is an idea that you drive through every part of your presentation. You really want to make sure that you can boil down your main point to one sentence. They call this a thesis statement in essays. And if you don't have that, a lot of times you'll see speakers, they have 40, 50, 60 slides, and it just goes from one point to the next in sort of a stream. But it's really hard to remember at the end of that anything specific about their presentation. So what you want to do is work on this when you're practicing and organizing your thoughts until you are really clear about that one key idea. Then that guidepost becomes your scale. Should I include this? Is it a need to know or nice to know bit of information? And you can get rid of the stuff that are like tangents and they don't really need to be there. And then you include the supporting materials that really do need to be there. And you have one key point that goes all the way through your entire presentation. And you really hammer it home. People are going to remember that one key point. The second thing you want is a really clear structure. You want an intro, body, conclusion. In your intro, it should have that central point. Then you also give a little preview of the points that are to come. Something simple like that would be great. You can have other things in your intro, but you got to have a central idea in your preview. Once you get into the body of the presentation, try to organize it around a few main points. 3 points is perfect, 4 points is acceptable, and that way you don't have a list of 10 things that people are trying to remember. When it's 10 things, they're not going to really walk away with anything. If you want them to remember, you have to pare it down to the bare essentials. So that's a clear body is really important. Then you have a conclusion, and the conclusion is very similar to the introduction. You restate your point just in case they missed it, and you recap a little bit of the main points. This is like the old formula that you learn in the beginning essays in college. You tell them what you were going to tell them, then you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. I know it sounds a little stiff, but it's for your audience. You want them to remember, you got to stay structured. It's one of the easiest ways to get your ideas to stick. The third tip is to be conversational in your delivery. This is called extemporaneous. That means presenting from limited notes, not word for word. Don't try to memorize it. Just have a few talking points jotted down and then practice it enough so that you can have a structured conversation with your listeners. This is what listeners want anyway. They don't want to see you read your PowerPoints. They don't want to listen to something that sounds stiff and robotic. They want a dynamic back and forth conversation. And you're only going to get there if you limit yourself to some key talking points and practice it enough so that you know it. You internalize the material. Then you can adapt to their nonverbals. You can sense when people need more or less information. And the fourth point is direct eye contact. And I mean direct. None of this scanning or looking over people's heads or picturing people in their underwear. There's a lot of bad advice out there about eye contact and how to look at your audience. And the only thing that I can tell you is that the professionals don't do these things. The high-level speakers look right at the eyes of every single person in the room if it's a small enough group. If you're presenting to 10 people and you have a 4 or 5 minute update, you can look at every single person in the eyes about 4 or 5 or 6 times. If it's a bigger group, maybe you have to look around a little bit more, but in a 10-minute presentation, you can still look at every single person at least a couple of times and right in the eye, long enough to finish a sentence, and then you move on. You really want to look, and it feels a little uncomfortable at first, so you have to build up your ability to do this. We're not used to this kind of direct eye contact, but it really helps people connect with you, and you'll distinguish yourself instantly in your delivery if you can look right into people's eyes. All 4 of these really need their own separate video, but this will get you going for now and help you instantly improve whatever kind of presentations that you're giving. I believe that we all have really important work to do, and I created Communication Coach to help professionals like you increase your skills, increase your communication and leadership professional development. So if you're interested in ongoing tips like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, post a comment or a question below, and we'll start a conversation. So thanks, God bless, and I hope you use this tip at your very next meeting.